So today I want to talk about measuring results. The reality is that it's a very slow process of getting results. Good results take a long time, right? And regardless of knowing this, everyone still wants them fast and they're disappointed with how long it takes, or if they've been going along doing all the right things for a while and it's not happening as fast as they would like, it's not happening in the way that they think it should. But this is absolutely something that needs to be managed internally, psychologically, right? To be able to continue. Because that's always a huge point of failure for people getting off the train, getting off the tracks, is when it's someone who thinks, oh, I'm not getting results, and this whole thing is just discouraging, and they just quit or lose enthusiasm because they think, oh, well, it's not working anyway. What's all this suffering for? Right? So it's important to have the right measurement of results and progress. All right, this word progress is so important. It's not just an external things like your waistline, your weight, even how fit you are. All those things are so hard to measure. We've narrowed it down to just these easy numbers that we try to follow. These numbers like, how much weight, how much, because it's hard to see all the other invisible things. How much better are you feeling? How much are you enjoying your exercise? And it feels like they change so much from day to day too. The things that we want to be looking at to identify progress are things like our behavior change, our consistent behaviors. How much are you living the lifestyle that you want to live, right? How much are you living those habits, right? But not just that. What's more important, what's behind that, what's a precursor to those behaviors are the feelings and the motivations. It's the fact that you're wanting to do these things more. And again, that's so hard to measure. But that's what's important, really, because ultimately, if you're able to force yourself to be doing these habits for weeks or even months, but you kind of resent them, you kind of wish you didn't have to do them, you're inevitably going to give them up. The fact is, the best progress that someone can get, I mean, in my mind, if it takes someone 6 months or a year to just be doing this, staying in the game, right, and then they're progressing in their attitude and their enthusiasm and their mindset toward how much they want to be doing this, how much they desire that lifestyle, that they start to see more and more of the benefit and are attached to the benefits and the lifestyle of health and wellness. Best case scenario, you almost resent the gluttonous lifestyle that was being lived prior. How much are you turning away from the desire for junk food and for indulgence in sloth and gluttony to be lazing around, and you enjoy being active? You're desiring to have more and more of that life, and you feel yourself turning towards that more and more. You feel the momentum of your life going in that direction. This is the thing. For you to change as a person, to have that deep internal shift, how do you measure that, right? But you can feel it, you know it. Your identity is changing. When you think about yourself and your lifestyle and the things you like and your hobbies and who you are, what does that include? Does it include health, wellness, fitness? Does it include activity? The more that you are starting to feel that way, and the more that you are being connected to that, identifying with it, seeing yourself as a healthy person, that's what lasts. That's what lasts. That internal stuff, I've trained many people. We've been training for months, and the weight itself hasn't moved. But the thing is, they're just getting to that tipping point. They're just getting closer and closer to that tipping point. It means more to them. They're starting to be frustrated with their old patterns, with their old ways of just constantly going off the tracks and struggling to get back on. They're just becoming more and more fed up and frustrated with that old lifestyle. That's progress. That's progress. Very hard to measure, but that's really where you're going to have really transformed and changed, because you're going to have to keep doing these things for the rest of your life. It's how much is this who you are now? That's progress. Right, so the key objective of any training program, of any health program, is how much has this made you want it more? How much has it improved your relationship with it? How much have you identified with that as part of your life? Right, the internal world of thoughts and feelings. How much have those evolved towards what you want them to be? The thing is, right, that you need to just stay in the game. That's another thing. Just how long have you been training? How long have you stayed in the game? The biggest problem is when people sort of do it for 6 weeks or 5 weeks or 2 weeks or something, and then they're off. It was total burnout and tried to do too much. They're off the wagon for ages. And then give it a little while. It might take months for them to be motivated to do anything again, or years. And then they get back on for a little while and it's too much, and then they jump back off again. And then obviously you can get frustrated with that. But the thing is, you're never going to get that thing where it shifts at an identity level unless you stay in the game. Stay in the game. Again, as I've said in other videos, even if you're doing it once a week, you're constantly being reminded of it. You're constantly being brought back to it. And that frustration can grow. Frustration is good. It's a motivator, right? So you're frustrated with that, and you're getting closer and closer to that tipping point where everything changes. Right? So where you're just like, I'm done with it. I'm done with that old self. I'm ready, because you're cultivating that commitment there. How much has commitment grown inside of you? How much is that commitment be planted inside of you and growing? That's progress. That's progress. How much the physical stuff is changing. A lot of the time, the way it works is that people are struggling with that, wrestling around with it, but they stay, they're committed. And then one day, boom, it all just kind of clicks in. And then they start to get some movement in the physical space. And that slows down a little bit, as things do. And then it'll click again. And then they'll make some progress. And then, life happens, but they stay in the game. They don't quit. That's what happens. It happens in stages. So that's the thing. I'm not going to measure someone based on these external factors as well, because, they're going to go back and forth. And if it's just like all of the progress is just, how far has your body come? How much have the measurements moved? Then, as soon as you go back on those things, and it's just heartbreaking. If it's like, I'm going backwards in terms of progress. You're not going backwards in terms of progress. You spent more time in the game. So I just want to open your minds to these new ways to think about progress. Progress is that you're consistently living in this way. That is much more powerful and real way to see progress. Okay, all right, if you enjoyed that, then click like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.